by Alden. Fair but firm, Chodash. The welterweight division continues to get more interesting, as former WBC welterweight champion Danny "Swift" Garcia and former IBF welterweight champion Showtime Shawn Porter near a purse bid for a fight later this year. Fans should brace themselves for a real treat that should showcase just as much art as it does grit. It's also a Crossroads fight that couldn't take place at a better time. Both men are just as hungry to get into the ring with one another as they are to get back into title contention. And who can blame them? Porter and Garcia both dropped narrow decision losses to Keith Thurman, who holds half of the titles at 147 while not having fought in almost 16 months. However, it's questionable whether Garcia and Porter are equally as willing to challenge Errol Spence, Jr. for his welterweight title, given the fact that Spence is primed, extremely dangerous, and has one less title than Thurman does. He just won the title. He's had 2 title fights. How is that the boogeyman? I fought the boogeyman before. Lucas Matisse was the boogeyman. Look what happened to him, said Garcia when asked by Showtime's Jim Gray about the prospect of facing Spence, Jr. But moments later, in a WWE-style hype-up, Garcia and Porter were hurling insults at one another in what seemed to be an obvious build-up to an inevitable fight in the near future. Whether or not that was all for show doesn't change the fact that just a month later, the fight appears to be nearing completion. On paper, the fight seems easy enough to make, given that both men are backed by advisor Al Heyman, are hungry for another title shot, have lost before, and are each crowd-pleasing in their own regard. Both have also looked impressive enough in defeat to come back nearly as marketable as they were prior, and each have turned in eye-opening performances in their return bout since their close decision losses to Thurman. So who wins? What can be predicted with the most certainty is that it won't be easy either way. Porter is the naturally bigger fighter, having competed at 165 as an amateur, even facing off against Danny Jacobs on several different occasions, and has fought his entire professional career at 147. Garcia, on the other hand, competed between 132 and 141 as an amateur and campaigned as an elite junior welterweight for the majority of his career. Going into the Thurman fight, a significant unanswered question was how Garcia would be able to handle an elite full-fledged welterweight after having had only 3 fights at 147. With that being said, Porter's size and his high-paced physical style may very well make things uncomfortable for Garcia, at least early on. However, as Garcia proved against Thurman, he is a highly resourceful fighter that can make adjustments during fights he faces adversity in. While he ultimately came up short to Thurman, he shook off a jolting right hand in the first round to eventually walk Thurman down and counterpunch effectively. When Garcia faced off against the feared Lucas Matisse in 2013, a surprising amount of boxing experts were picking the challenger, Matisse, to lift the title from Garcia, given the fact that Matisse was regarded as one of the hardest pound-for-pound punchers in boxing at the time. Garcia surely tasted the same power which put Lamont Peterson on his back on several occasions against Matisse, but once again was adept at making adjustments against the stronger, more physical fighter, which led Garcia to the unanimous decision win. It seems like a winnable fight for Garcia on the basis that he has been successful against rough physical opposition on several occasions in the past, i.e. Matisse, Robert Guerrero, Lamont Peterson. However, Porter is considerably more agile than any of the pressure fighters Garcia has been able to adjust to in the past, and may test Garcia's endurance down the stretch. It's important to recall that Garcia was pushed to the limit late in fights against Zab Judah and Peterson as he appeared to fatigue in the latter rounds, and that may be concerning against a fighter of Porter's nature. But if any fighter truly established a blueprint for how to beat Garcia, it would have to be the only man to have ever beaten him, Keith Thurman. While Garcia was effective in walking Thurman down at times and landed savvy counter-punches, Thurman's success was largely attributable to his lateral movement. Clearly Garcia didn't enjoy having such an elusive target to find in there, as after the fight, he stated that, "This is a sport, you got to do contact with the fighter. You just can't run." He won't have to worry about Porter running, that is for certain. Garcia may even be hard-pressed to find Porter taking a backward step at any point in their fight, if it is to materialize. But that should make it all the more entertaining to all the die-hard boxing fans out there, and should shed some more light on an ever-developing welterweight division. Contact the feature writers.